remember how I said a couple times that once I saw the process of making the Philosopher's Stone, and then I wasn't able to find it again because the links were broken? Well, I have a little treat for us today. Managed to find some PDFs. So, let's go through the process, the theory of making the Philosopher's Stone. Now, this is based on the works of Roger Caro, A Complete Great Work Photographed, which is a book. Roger Caro's got a few books. Some of them are translated as well. This is a Rex Research PDF from the webpage, I believe, which is now taken down. So if you search hard enough, you can find this yourself. Of course, you can email me as well. Anyway, let's skip the prefaces. We also have a second book, which is the main one we're going to talk about. The Cinnabaris of FAR plus C, translated and edited by Lenny, Pedersen. This is by, I believe this is Roger Caro again. Yeah, I don't know. Whatever. Anyway, this is just to show you the pictures, and then we'll go through the theory. So here is this nice little stone lab, isn't that lovely? And here is, you know, the retort and flask and such. I believe that is Roger Caro himself, I would say. This little tree. Here we have the first. Now this is the pictures of the wet path. We're going through multiple different paths. As you can see here, this is the matter being dry distilled, and you can see in the second flask. Yeah, there we are, from there to there. And we can see this is what you get. These two different liquids here. Now the bottom one, of course, is mercury, and the top is some kind of mercurial liquid. And of course, the substance in question is cinnabar. Here we go. This is a sample of the first matter sample of this ore, which contains in its breast the sun and the moon of our philosophers, which is basically sulfur and mercury, the sun being sulfur and the moon being mercury in this context, as well as the salt in an infinitesimal dose. Now the salt is the third principle. I believe this ore, maybe it contains it, which is nice. The salt is apparently potassium hydroxide, which you can also, or wood salts. Maybe a sodium hydroxide could work as well, but we'll go over it. So it's kind of funny. It's like the ironic thing of salt, mercury, and sulfur. It wasn't a joke. Well, it is a joke because it's, you know, analogical, but it's like you get told literally what it's made out of. The first thing. Anyway, here you can see they re-added it, and this is dissolving, so re-added the mercury in some of the liquid. We'll get into the specifics, and again, heating it produces beautiful color again. The end of the first philosophical month. Philosophical months are days, so this process, the wet path process, takes about 26 days, I think. And there are quicker ways, which we'll get into. Again, you can see it says it shoots up like fireworks. Beautiful colors, isn't it? Absolutely ridiculously beautiful. And here we go. It turns into the black, the Saturnian. You know, the black, the white, and the citrine, and the red. You can see the oil of Saturn starts to arise. So you've got this black matter at the bottom, and then the oil of Saturn, which they call it, rises. Here we go. There's the oil. You can see it right there, that nice red oil. The black, that black thing. Peacock's tail goes through colors again, more slowly heating. Again, heating. Slowly gets whiter, and you can see it's white here. This is the white stone. Usually, the alchemist will take a little bit of that, just, you know, as a kind of sample. And then when they heat it again, more so, or they add more liquid, I guess, you know, because they slowly keep adding liquid for the wet part. It slowly turns to okay, the Philosopher's Stone, as you can see here, and they smash the flask. Apparently, I don't know. Maybe you could just dissolve it. Maybe that sounds like a little bit nicer of a way. But here we go. Finally, the ultimate red stone. Some more pictures. So isn't that nice? Well, basically, and here we go. Transmuted silver ingot, white powder multiplied 3 times. And multiplication, I think they just re-add the alkali water There's gold there, you can see a bit of red still transmutation, and finally the elixir. Yes, dissolved in the two tinctures, the gold foil and the silver foil tincture. So anyway, that I believe is yes. This PDF, now onto the second, which is the actual process. As I said, this book is the Cinnabaris of the Far. Let's see. Does that mean like some Middle Eastern thing? I don't know, maybe it's some Golden Dawn coded jibber jabber. As we can see here, the golden rose, and the sun and the moon. So I guess the cinnabar, and the sun being sulfur, the moon being mercury. Maybe one of these is the salt, I don't know, that's like the black of it. And let's get into it. So here we have the wet path, the dry path, and the sacerdotal way, which I'll be going through most of these three. If you want to read more of this, you're going to have to get the book yourself, because I'm not going to go through all of it. I'm just going to go through the main important parts so you can get the idea of it. And maybe we'll do a little extra section at the end if I have the time. Excuse me while I scroll through this. Alright. Talk a little bit about the chemistry, the chemical thingos of the mercury, sulfur, and potash. Now, of course, cinnabar is mercury atoms and sulfur atoms together. Mercury sulfide, or sulfate, I don't know, one of those words. Yeah, HGS. So you can see it's both of them. And the ratio is 50% mercury, 37.5% sulfur, and 12.5% salt of philosophers, quote unquote, various salts, which is basically what they do in this process. I'll show you actually. Here we go, three phases of the black work, as we saw the black stuff. The albification, or rectification, and rubification. I think that's a white, I don't know. Okay, so this is about the salt. One burns plants to withdraw caustic ash from them, K2O3, CO3, so potassium carbonate basically, or carbonate of potash, which is gained from burning vast amounts of plants, a lot of woods, pretty easy to do that. And then one obtains potash by action of quicklime on the caustic ashes, according to the following formula. So if you remember from a little bit of chemistry, H2O is water plus 2K CO potassium carbonate plus calcium oxide. And calcium oxide, what is that? That is bone ash. That is bone ash that has been heated really, really hot. So it's kind of funny. It's like the plant and the animal. And then you mix them together, you mix the salts together and you pour water over it, and then you get 2H2, or I think that's a liquid, I don't know, 2KOH, or potassium hydroxide, and calcium, I don't know, oxide 3, I don't know, it's calcium oxide 3, I don't know what the hell that is, some kind of spent calcium oxide. And you can see a picture of it here. So you can see this is a little funnel, and we got the, what do you call it, like a piece of paper, a piece of filter paper down the bottom, and if one uses dry potash, one is conducting the experiment according to the Sacerdotal way. Yeah, so it depends on if you, alright, basically they say you got to make it yourself. They say don't buy it because it's made improperly, because you need to crystallize it. I don't know, maybe you can just recrystallize it, maybe, I don't know. Here we can see warm water, and we can see our salts together at the bottom, and downwards, the here we go, potassium hydroxide and water is at the bottom. Simple, what do you call it, soap making kind of thing. I've never actually heard of the adding calcium hydroxide. I don't know about that, but I guess yeah. There you go. That's how it works, and you've got to recrystallize it. Left in the open. Viscous liquid, yeah, just mildly heated. We've gone over some of those things in the Spaghetti tutorial. Anyway, the wet way, here we go. 28 philosophical months, 28 days. Blah, blah, blah. Yeah, here we go. Burn the plants, collect the caustic ash, put in a filter and add the quicklime, and pour on warm water. Potassium hydroxide is collected. There we go. Day 1. Put the sulfur or the cinnabar in the retort after having crushed it. Do not grind it too fine sand, but not powdered, which would otherwise cause blocking. So here's the ingredients. They are using 201 grams of commercial mercury, or 32 of native sulfur, and 28 of potassium hydroxide dry, or 400 grams cinnabar and 28 grams of potassium hydroxide dry. Induce the mixing and the beginning of the reaction by taking the flask in your hands and vigorously shaking it up and down. Put the nozzle in the flask, which transforms it into a retort, and adjust the receiver flask. Alright, so basically I think put in your retort, see a picture in a minute. Finally, the size of the blah blah blah. Yep, so basically it's talking about the weight, the size and the volume. You don't overfill a retort, depending on how much volume you're using. It will depend on if you use a 500 milliliter, a liter, or 250 milliliter. You don't fill it much more beyond than 1/4 or dry distilling. Otherwise, it causes issues. Let's see. Yep, you put it in the fire. They're under conjugated action of the fire contained in each of them. They tend to sublimate. That's just to say they rise in vapors when they arrive at their boiling point. Now, as the salt evaporates towards 165 degrees Fahrenheit, not Fahrenheit, Celsius, I would imagine, and the mercury of the philosophers towards 360, it produces two phenomena. The salt and mercury of the philosophers, sublimated by the intense heat derived from the sulfur, evaporate up into the flask attached to the athanol. Here, which is a furnace or the heat source. Here, under the effect of a decrease in temperature, they recondense and superimpose in order of density. However, the sulfur of the philosophers, not entering its boiling point until about 450 degrees, is denied access to this temperature due to the departure of the other two bodies, which do not excite it anymore. Right. Basically, that means because the other two things have left, they're not acting as like a heat catalyst or something to let it rise through. Here you go. So this one's using 2 flasks, but you can also, if we go back to our excuse me, little pictures here, this is talking about this process. Basically, you put the stuff in here, you heat it. He probably used a little torch flame, little Bunsen burner or something, or I don't know, some kind of candle, and then it goes into here, and it dry distills into these 2 liquids, as we can see. The which we're going to get to here. Here we go. Modified sulfur, earthy matter, and mixed potash. So the red liquid is some kind of a lye liquid, and modified mercury. Here we go. Down the bottom. Separated out into 3 things, because you're gonna, for the wet part at least, you're gonna use the liquid in sparing amounts. So so they are collected separately. In A, the modified sulfur in powdered state. B, the modified potash in liquid state. Potash plus water. Interesting. So I guess the water from the salt or something, when you dry distill salt, you get like a liquid. I don't know. I don't think they're adding water into it. Whatever. And C, the modified mercury. Sol phase. Duration 8 days. Planetary master Saturn. Alright. At midnight, first day. At midnight, take a flask of a volume which is 4 times the volume of the new sulfur. So a bigger flask. The new mercury and the new potash, so that it may. All 3 of them actually. So it's take 4 times the volume of the new sulfur, the new mercury, and the new potash, that it may all fit with ease. Into this flask, pour the new mercury and then the new sulfur, which has been collected in the powdered state. Okay, interesting. So you do not take the earthly matter yet, or something like that. Interesting. You're basically just taking the new mercury and the new powdered sulfur. Can you use regular sulfur? I don't know. That'd be interesting. And then apply 1/7. Very important. Apply 1/7 of the new potash. Do not apply fire. Do not shake the flask. Carry this operation 7 times altogether, that is to say until the new potash is exhausted. Interesting, so you use it all up. The operation is to commence at midnight and then be repeated every 2 hours. So every 2 hours you add 1/7 of the potash liquid to the mercury and sulfur mixture. Here we are. It is important to pour the new potash gradually and to not apply fire in order to avoid burning the flowers of sulfur, that is to say, cause premature fission of the sulfur. Interesting. So do we not use heat at all? No, I guess it's a very caustic, very kind of crazy reaction going on. Now this is interesting because the way you chemically make mercury is through sulfur and salt, and you make a mixture out of all three of those. We'll actually use cinnabar, and I don't know, maybe you don't need to use, I guess, no, I think you still use sulfur. So it's similar to that, but it's not quite it. The matter takes on a citrine color. Yeah, I'm pretty sure it did. That one time I tried it. Interesting. So maybe there's like ghetto ways to do this, so to speak. We don't need to try to still. I don't know. I'll leave that for another video. Alright, on second day. One is not to touch the flask, always stop it. The matter turns brown and resembles the skin of a leopard. Yeah, they say not to touch it, I think, if there's some kind of energetic thing, or because you don't want to like shake it up or something. Basically, the thing you've got to realize is that you're creating some kind of ultra high energy substance, which is, you know, I'll show you in a minute. You'll fucking see, don't you worry. At midnight, apply fire. Okay, so one's not to touch the flask, matter turns brown in the skin of the liver. So you basically leave it for a day after that first day of adding the liquids. The second day you leave it. The third day you apply fire at midnight. Let's just say take the flask in your hand and shake it. I don't know, that's interesting. Are you telling me to add fire or to shake it? I think it's telling you to shake it. I don't know. Maybe that's like an analogy for fire. The matter at this time has taken on the appearance of brown earth. When fire is applied, maybe you fire it after, this cracks gradually, ascending fireworks and descending rain of stars. Vapor occurs. So let's go back to our nice little pictures. Yeah. So here we go. Then re-adding it. So that's what we just talked about. Then here we go. The flower of sulfur will be burned. Yeah, that's talking about that. If you do it too much. Newly married settles down. So that was the end of that. And then the leopard skins. This was day 2. So that was day 1. Day 2, day 3, or he's got day 4, but whatever. During the course of the philosophical month, the body continues to darken and presents a dazzling colour. One would say a rain of stars or fireworks. And here we go down the end, becomes more brown, compact, and takes a black colour. Here we go, this is kind of cool. A bright white ball takes form in the upper part of the flask, heaven of the vase. It's the upper space of the subtle essence of the three elements uniting in heavens and fertilizing the earth on the way down. I wish we had a picture of that. Holy shit, that's incredible. So this is talking about, I think, that I don't know if that's a picture of it, that white stuff there. I don't know. I don't think he took a picture. Would pictures affect the result? That's one interesting thing. Would electronics affect it? I don't know. But it says the appearance of plasma actually occurs in the top of the flask, which is very interesting. And ascending and descending vapors up and down, and you get this plasma and you get this bottom earth. One is not to touch the flask. Always stop it. The matter becomes brown, compact and soft like fine sand. I wonder if do they keep heating it? When fire is applied, I think they continuously apply fire. Probably, I'm not sure. One is not to touch the flask. Always stop it. The matter darkens further. Oily traces begin to appear on the wall. Yep, so This one, probably oily traces appear on the sides. I don't know, maybe this stuff, I'm not sure. Oil of satin is clearly perceived here. Liquid is brought to the left side of maybe that little slip there or something, if you can see that. Alright, the sixth day. The matter in the flask stoppered, which one is still not to touch, is completely black. A golden meniscus here appears in the upper part of the flask. A bright red liquid floats on the top of the matter, the oil of satin or the quintessence here. Black matter. One then cuts off the head of the crow. The flask is opened and one pours out the liquid carefully, retaining the compost, which is black stuff, of the bird's feather. The oil of satin is removed, the gold meniscus disappears. One pours the liquid into a conical flask and then allows it to decant, which means kind of let the heavy stuff fall to the bottom and the light stuff fall to the top. I'll show you in a minute. The flask remains open. You've got to air it out. One pours the decanted oil of satin, so like purified oil, into a well-stoppered bottle away from heat and light, because this liquid is volatile. This quintessence, which basically means it's gaseous, kind of like alcohol. This quintessence is of a bright red color when viewed in volume. On thin film, it is of yellow color. The same phenomena with human blood. Red in mass, yellow spread out on a glass slide. Oh yeah, kind of like oil, how it becomes more, what do you call it? These are the pictures, it becomes more yellowy, and then becomes darker and thicker. So this is the oil of satin coming here, and I think that's decanted with stuff. Excuse me. And they say a green mold. Upon contact with humidity of the air, the matter containing one or several granules changes to green. I think this is the green lion thing. The type of mold being the cause of all that's related to sulfuric acid. I don't know. Let's see. Washing. Alright, yep, let's get to the washing stage. So we basically solve and coagulate. So this is solve, or basically, you're adding all the stuff together. You are separating the solid from the liquid, right? Separating the solid from the solve, and then coagulate means collect or put them together. Albification. The flask is open except for when the fire is being applied once the potash has been poured in. Right, so flask is open except for when the fire is applied. Yep, because you don't want things to escape. Proceed to the bath and the application of fire at 6 o'clock in the morning. Bath may be meaning adding the liquid, I think, and then you're going to stop at the flask, close it. There we go, 9th day. Into the open flask, one pours upon the compost the 4th volume of the KH, which was prepared earlier. See the preparation of the salt ore, 14 grams. So, are they asking us to add not the oil of satin, they're asking us to make more of this liquid? Because I thought we used it all. Oh, I don't know, we need to split it up, or you just add potassium hydroxide liquid. I'm not sure. Right. Here we go. The flask is opened at this time in order to take into one's hands the flask is closed at this time in order to take it into one's hands and shake it to mix the KRH, which with the surface of the granules and initiate the reaction. Okay, so you mix it up, you shake it up and dissolve it. The flask is opened. You open again, I guess. One allows a reaction to be achieved. The granules turn saffron colored with green feces. The same operation as that of the 9th day. So this one again, adding the liquid, except that one pours on half of the volume of KRH, or 28 grams. And granules turn rust colored. Interesting. It's saying a quarter here is 14 grams, and half is 28. And is it liquid or the gram? I think it's solid. I think it's a solid one in this one. I'm not sure. Yeah, it looks like it's using a solid salt for it. Same as the 10th, the granules become desert poppy brown red. Same as the 11th, the granules become a strongly burnt blood. Same as the 12th, the granules turn green. Same as the 13th, the granules become an imperfect color. And are we heating it? I think you just keep adding. Do you just keep adding salt? Do you just keep feeding salt? A lot of salt. You proceed as the 9th day. A quarter, yeah, it looks like it is. A quarter of the volume of carriage, or 14 grams, the granules turn yellow. Do not touch the flask. The granules whiten and become the white stone or lunar stone of an orange-white color. Let's go back to our pictures. So this is kind of the idea of the multiplication. Maybe you're just re-adding crap loads of salt to it, and you're using the salt to become its body or something. And the washing, as well, so this is 9 p.m. and greening, yeah, so green, 4th washing. So they're basically adding salt and shaking it up. And, the color white is obtained, a beautiful white. It is lovely, isn't it? Nice. And here we got a stone. Get back to this. Continue to the red stage, multiply, or stop at the white stage. Multiplication of the white stone. To make the white stone operative, it must be multiplied in order to fix it. One repeats the same process. Solve plus alkification is carried out in 2 days by taking this non-fixed white stone as the first matter. Okay, so I think you just heat it, and then you dissolve the oil from it, and you, I don't know. I'll figure that one out one day. The stone thus obtains transmutes 10 times its weight of lead or mercury into silver. This stone is used to prepare the medicines of green light. No wonder you'd want to multiply it, because you need a lot of that shit. Rubification, or reddening. If one has kept all or part of the white stone, one proceeds to the second phase of coagula. The rubification, it consists of parsimoniously, which meaning excessively sparingly, while I could of course simply have translated blah blah blah. Okay. So sparingly, excessively sparingly, pouring the oil of satin collected on the 6th day of the soul, one proceeds with these imbibitions at noon. So you start slowly putting like droplets or something of the oil to make it red. The flask remains open except while one applies fire after having proceeded with the imbibitions. Okay, so you kind of heat it up a little after adding it, and then you stopper it, and then I think you stop, and then you do it again or something. One pours the oil of satin upon the dry matter in such a way that it is coated therewith, but without it forming a puddle at the bottom of the flask. Stopper. Yeah, it's kind of like making a plant stone, where you have all the plant salts at the bottom, and then you just slowly add the oils, and you heat it, and then you stop, and you add the oil again, and you stop, and you just keep doing that until you get like a crystallized plant stone. Interesting. Take the flask in your hands, turn it 7 times in a dexatory way direction, which is clockwise. The stone takes on a yellow color. Master, planetary master Venus, 18th day, the same, the stone turns orange, master planetary Vulcan, the same, the stone intensifies. So I think you just keep taking this flask and turning it. At least we don't have to keep it heated. Oh wait, maybe we do, I don't know. Oh, well, I mean, kind of do, whatever. It doesn't look as hard as it seems, is what I'm trying to say. Even though it takes a while. The same, orange intensifies, orange is perfect, orange moves towards the red. Red becomes more intense, planetary master Mars. The same, red becomes even more pronounced. Vulcan, I think, means fire, so Venus, Vulcan, fire, Mars, Mars, red. Do not touch the Philosopher. 24th day, do not touch the Philosopher's Stone. It is bright red on the outside, yellow on the inside. In mass, it is red, Mars. In powder form, it is yellow, Venus. Break the flask, taking care not to break the stone, then crush the stone in the mortar. Let's go look at the pictures. Here we go. Slowly, the stone is milky. The stone is adult and milky. Nourishment is stopped in order to give it their body meat to die. So I guess they're like slowly adding the oil. And then here we go. A flask broken for demonstration shows a crystalline. But that's, yeah, they do it to show the stone. I guess it'd be kind of cool to have, I mean, it is basically just like a half-eaten donut. It's a little bit ghetto. You could maybe like lacquer it really heavy and wear it as a necklace and probably trick balls off the electromagnetic radiation you get off it, whatever. From the yellow we pass to the orange. Oh, I think they wanted to show the orange inside or something. That's nice. 18th day to the 21st. Its degrees of fire requires 4 months. Philosophical months, I think. Since this degree of fire requires 4 months of concoction, and it goes to red. So I guess they are slowly heating it for like a day. I think they add like a little bit of the oil and heat it for a day. I don't know, man. Finally, from the orange to red, we'll pass to the 22nd or to the 24th. The end of the coagula still carries some traces of impurity, thus it cannot. Yeah, basically they need to crush it up and really dissolve it all in that oil, something like that. Here we go, 25th, 26th, the stone is finished. Very, very, very red there. That's, maybe it's a bad lighting for that picture. You can kind of see the glow on the outside. Could just be a camera thing, but it could be an energetic kind of thing. And then we have this red, beautiful powder there. 28 days, here we go. We hasten to add, however, that these 28 days represent an order of magnitude. In order to practice the great work can vary between 26 and 21. Yeah, it's gonna, here are some causes, the number of months, blah, blah, blah. Yeah, so some people have different, it's going to be different experiences depending on the, here we go, talking about the salt. Okay, let's get back to the processes. So multiplication. Take the red stone as the first matter because it is inoperative as it is false prophet, and proceed to a new solvent coagula. Use the remainder of the oil of satin collected during the first solve because practically none of it formed during the second. Right, so I think they're trying to warm it and heat it and then adding a bunch more salt as a minimum requirement for the preparation is, let's say 364 grams of salt, or for the multiplication use 168 grams. Therefore, necessary to burn around 150 grams of dry plant in order to obtain the ash. Yeah, let's try to figure out how to just buy it off eBay and get that working. Okay, so the dry path. How long does this take? 24. I'm not going to go over the dry path, or I'll kind of vaguely go over it. You probably got the idea from the wet path. Really what I want to go over is the Sacerdotal or whatever, the priest path or whatever it is. That one's like the Zoomer path. It's really quick. You can get it done like a day. So I think that's a bit better. Anyway, let's just quickly go over this. So preparation of the salt by the wet way, so you get doing that. Potash is collected in a separate container, dried, you dry it, turning it dried by taking the vase in your hands, turning it 7 times in a clockwise direction and allowing it to stand and dry in place. I don't know what that means. Let's try to get into I think the new potash is the same way except in powdered form. So I think they're just like, I don't know, then they're just adding salt to the Cinnabaris or something instead of distilling it. I don't know, man. Look through this if you're interested. Yeah, it's pretty much just partly correspondent. Alright, so here we go, the Sacerdotal way. Sacerdotal way, duration 9 philosophical days or 18 hours according to modern computation. Interesting. No preparation. Duration is 18 hours with the work commencing at midnight. One operates with a dry potash. One does not remove the oil of satin. See, that's a bit easier, isn't it? This is more like the lazy man's way, except it's more intense, I guess. One puts in potash all at once at the beginning of salt. One adds it over 7 times during the albufation. One does not apply fire by taking a flask with one hand. Okay. Salt. This is the salt phase. One puts in 400 grams of Cinnabaris, 58 grams of dry potash into a flask. It is placed on a tripod. One does not touch it anymore. The matter passes through the same color as in the wet way. Do we heat it? I don't know. I think you just keep it there. I'm not sure. Do not touch the flask. From 0 to 4th hour. In the wet way, so first day to 6th day. What was that? What are we doing there? Excuse me 1 second. Alright. So maybe you do dissolve it. Or you do separate it. Yeah, wait, no, here we go. At midnight, take the flask, which is 4 times the volume of sulfur, blah blah blah. Yeah, okay, so you do go through this, I think. Stop it. And then it's once you get to the oil of satin phase. Excuse me 1 second, here we go. So once you get, the matter is completely black, a green phosphorescence emerges therefrom. Phosphorescence becomes filled with a red sphere with an oily appearance. This one you're just adding a shitload more salt to it than the original. So maybe that's what causes this. This is really interesting. Apparently, a green phosphorescence emerges. That is fucking cool. The phosphorescence becomes filled with a red sphere with an oily appearance. So it's just like this levitating oil with a green glow or something. I don't know. That's weird as, isn't it? Maybe they're trying to say that it, like, I don't know. The result is 6 hours, right? Here we go. And then coagulate. Albufation. 6 to 12 hours. 7 sprinklings of KOH every 3/4 or every 3/4 for 45 minutes. Every 45 minutes you put. Here we go. Stating obvious, blah, blah, blah. 7 sprinklings of salt is carried out with each sprinkling of its own respective amount, okay, as given on the following page, being carried out every 45 minutes. So first is 14, second is 28, then another of 28. Right, so you start at 14, then you just keep adding 28. So what a fucking salt. Because apparently the salt removes the green hole here and it frees the oil or something. Result of 24 hours adding a bunch of salt. There's a white matter apparently. Okay, here we go. 1 of 14, 5 of 28, and the last, I guess, of 14. Potash strips the spheroid of its emerald hull and fixes it inside the matter, which gradually whitens crimson. The sphere of the oil of satin is diluted and united little by little with the matter. Are they telling us to draw it out and slowly add it? I don't know. Anyway, here we go. 14th hour, white color, yellow color, 16th orange, 18th matter takes on crimson inside and outside. There you go. So if you want to look at this stuff, it's just talking about like sciencey stuff. Go look through that. Is there anything interesting? It talks a little more about the stuff here. It talks about like atomic physics and undergoes fission, which would make it almost similar to natural coal, blah blah blah. weak base, possesses quality ionized metallic atoms. The role of water, special water possessing a universal solvent power, is played here by the OH radical. Maybe the idea of the alkahest being, what is it called? Potassium hydroxide and alcohol wasn't such a silly idea. Who knows? Anyway, you can look through this yourself if you're interested. I'm not going to make this video too long, but if you want interest in more stuff to read about this, you can, kind of go through this. They talk about the chakras. See, we go crown chakra, multiplication, interesting. All that. Talk about some more. The days. I think the colours, the colours of the days again relating to the chakras, because the work is inside and outside, and you're probably going to go through some crazy experiences doing this kind of stuff related to your body. So, energy and all that. Anyway, I hope this was interesting to you, and these are the original pictures from the old book. Nice little star there. Another one. Anyway, I hope you liked this and you got something of use out of it, you learned something. Of course, feel free to check links in the description for social commercial things, and have a nice day.